This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling.
What the world is watching.
AEW's Revolution this Sunday, March the 9th at the Crypto Arena in Los Angeles. And say what you will about the way that they build up their television, their pay-per-views usually knock it out of the park. And they've got a stellar lineup that is set for this Sunday. And we're going to break it on down like a shotgun. I'm going to let you know my predictions for the evening. And let's start with the singles match between MJF and Hangman Adam Page. The way that this has been built up has essentially been like, you did some mean things, you did some out there things, and the crowd still loves you. I did some out there things, and they hate me. And that's from MJF's perspective. And basically, they have been building to this crescendo of MJF trying to get in the head of Hangman Adam Page, trying to get him with the mind games. Hangman Adam Page has had an interesting character arc here. He's essentially being, I feel, his natural progression, the trajectory should put him at an AEW world title shot. So, if they really want to go with an interesting story, Swerve gets the championship back, defends against Hangman Adam Page. It seems like it's just fitting. There hasn't been a lot of character development in AEW, but lately they have done an excellent job. I know who Hangman Adam Page is, or at least I know where he's trying to go as a character. I know who MJF is. I know who Tony Storm and Mariah May are. I know Will Ospreay's, at least, where he's trying to get to, so there's a lot of investment there. Ricochet is the same way. So I think that, they're doing the best that they can to get fans familiar with these characters and give us a reason to care. MJF and Hangman Adam Page, they give us a reason to care. As far as who's going to come out on top in a match like this, it can go either way. I don't think either man really can afford a loss, but MJF has had a win at the previous pay-per-view. Hangman Adam Page needs a win, in my opinion. I think it'll do great for his character if he were to eke out this win, because then you can see growth. But if he loses, he hasn't gone anywhere, he's just bound to snap again. So, but MJF is the franchise player of the AEW currently. But in the interest of this, you got to pick somebody. I'm going to go outside of the box, and I'm going to go with Hangman Adam Page. I think it starts his road to the AEW World Championship. And then I also think it gives MJF motivation to get more gritty, to get more dirty, to really start to rev it up and go after Hangman Page. I think he's been going at him in, promos and whatnot, but he's essentially been running away from Hangman Adam Page. I think this is an opportunity for MJF to, retaliate in a way that really adds some depth to his character, steps the jealousy up. So I'm going to go with Hangman Adam Page to win here. A little out of the box thinking. In a steel cage match, Will Ospreay battles Kyle Fletcher. Running through their series of matches, Will Ospreay needs this win. I think Ospreay he's taken a few losses, and I know why he's done it. He's doing it because he sees a bigger picture. It's getting these guys over that need to get over, and I think he's done a really good job with that. But I think now it's time for him to head back up to World Championship. I think everybody's going to head up to the World Championship, right? But if we're going to really portray Will Ospreay as the next big thing, then he needs this win in a steel cage match. He needs to move on from Kyle Fletcher and move towards, bigger and better things. And I think it doesn't hurt Kyle Fletcher one bit. I think they've done a good job of keeping Kyle Fletcher's momentum, keeping him in the public. And so I think Kyle Fletcher can go on. He can become nastier and do crazier things. He could re-team with Mark Davis. I think a team of Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis against like the Hurt Syndicate could be a huge match. Very formidable match, in my opinion. And so you can definitely move Kyle Fletcher on in that regard, and it wouldn't even be a problem. So I would say Will Ospreay gets the win here, and then they move on to, Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. You can do Will Ospreay and Konosuke Takeshita. There's a lot that you can work with at Will Ospreay. Keep him at the top of the card. You can reassess where you want to go with Kyle Fletcher as a single star, and in the meantime, you can put him with Mark Davis, and then they can have their dynamic of Mark having one foot in the door and one foot out of the door, the Don Callis family. For the AEW Continental Championship, Kazuchika Okada defends against Brody King. This match was kind of thrown together last minute, not a whole lot of build, but there is a story there that Brody King is looking to avenge the injury of his partner, Buddy Matthews. So at least there's something there. Brody King's going to be a hometown favorite here, being from Van Nuys. This is an opportunity for him to win a championship in his hometown. I don't think he's going to be successful. Spoiler alert, I think Kazuchika Okada is going to get the win here. However, I do feel that Brody King's going to have a standout performance. Brody's awesome, man, and I like the singles idea push for him while Buddy's on the injured list. I think that they can do a lot. Keep that momentum going for Brody King because he's a monster, and I think he can do good here. I think this is going to be a great match. I think people are going to be surprised by this. If Okada brings his A game, they're going to be chopping the fuck out of each other. It's going to be interesting. Tag team title match. The Hurt Syndicate defend against the Outrunners. Kind of interested why they didn't go for a triple threat tag match where you had Lance Archer and Brian Cage and the Outrunners and the Hurt Syndicate. But alas, we're here with the Hurt Syndicate and the Outrunners. Hurt Syndicate are going to get the win here. The Syndicate of Doom is what I like to call them because they're like the Legion of Doom right now of AEW. I think they're going to get the win here and then probably get jumped by Lance Archer and Brian Cage to further their tag match. I don't know why they pushed this tag match back, but I guess they're saving it for another time. Outrunners should be over huge, but I think their momentum has stalled a bit, and it's caused the crowd to not be as invested in cheering for them, unfortunately. So hopefully they have a standout performance and they're able to get back in the crowd's good graces, and the AEW can keep up the momentum for them after this loss. Momo Watanabe challenges Mercedes Moné for the AEW TBS Championship. They've had a match before. I felt like AEW was kind of shying away from it at first. I'm glad they're not, and they're at least mentioning that. I think Moné is obviously going to win here. I think it could be a standout match for Momo in America. I think this could be a good... They have good chemistry. If you haven't seen their first match, they had a great match on television. I think it was Collision, and it was a really good match. And so I think they can knock this out of the park. I think what's going to be interesting is what role Billie Starkz is going to play in all this, because I have a feeling she's going to show up. Either she's going to interfere or she's going to be watching the match. But whatever happens with Starkz and Moné, I feel eventually could lead to Athena and Moné. And I think that's where they're going with this whole idea here. Mercedes Moné being a belt collector, I think the Ring of Honor Women's Championship intrigues her. And I think that is what calls Athena to AEW, and I think they could put on a great match, and I think their promo battles can be really good. So I would look for that. But as far as this match goes, I'm going to give it to Mercedes Moné. Swerve Strickland battles Ricochet. This is a singles match to determine the number one contender for the AEW World Championship. Now, as I said before, Will Ospreay and Hangman Adam Page I'd like to see at the top of the card. But obviously for Hangman Adam Page to get a shot at the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, he should be trying to go through Swerve again. And I think they've done a great job of keeping them separate for now. So with Ricochet, I mean, the way that this story is being built up here, they definitely need to have Ricochet cut the robe with scissors or something, right? It puts Prince Nana in an interesting position as well, because he wanted the robe back. So even if Swerve wins, he actually loses, or whatever that quote is from White Men Can't Jump, the original. If you know, you know. So I think Ricochet isn't hurt by this loss. I think Swerve needs it. I think he's going to have that little dynamic with Prince Nana, and Ricochet can go back to being, vicious and really try and continue going at Swerve. I don't think this ends their feud at all. I think it can kind of put Ricochet in a position to where he snaps a little bit more and tries to, scissor me daddy with Anthony Bowens or something, who knows with the scissors, in a Hollywood ending match. I think it's a false count anywhere, but they're calling it like a Hollywood ending. I would love if they brought back the backlot brawl for this, to be honest with you, if they went and had like Dustin Rhodes like be the enforcer and the match happened on a Hollywood set. I mean, it's in Los Angeles. Like, I can't believe they're not taking advantage of that for Timeless Toni Storm against Mariah May here. I think, as far as this match goes, the Hollywood ending for them should be that they reconcile after destroying each other. I mean, totally obliterating each other and then realizing that they are bound for eternity. It would make sense. You maybe not put them together as a team necessarily, but for them to embrace and kiss. And that's the Hollywood movies. That's how most Hollywood movies end, or at least in the time period that Toni Storm is channeling here, that's how it happens. Storm should win, move on to something different. But I really hope that they have something for Mariah May on the other side of this. I almost said Mariah Carey. That's hilarious. But I hope they have something for Mariah May on the other side of this. At the very least, keeping her momentum up. I would love to see Mariah May and Harley Cameron do something. Like maybe Harley tries to cheer her up with a stuffed animal and Mariah May like snaps on her. I think there could be something interesting between those two. They both came from Stardom, so there's some history there. But I think they both got something special, and they just need a program outside of, Harley Cameron and Monet and Mariah May and Toni Storm. So I think those two together could really do something special. It just needs to be the right story. But yeah, something as simple as that. Harley Cameron's trying to cheer her up. Mariah May attacks her. And, Harley's just as crazy as Mariah May. So you can delve into that a little bit as well. So I think that could be interesting. So yeah, I'm going to go with Toni Storm. She wins this. She needs to win this. And I think she needs to move on to something on the other side. I was hoping that we would have seen a heel turn from Thunder Rosa to kick off Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm, which I think would be really good. But alas, hopefully they have something on the other side of this. But I'm going with Toni Storm to win. In a singles match for the AEW International Championship, Konosuke Takeshita battles Kenny Omega. Now, there's something with this because Kenny Omega hasn't been on television a lot lately, and as a matter of fact, he wasn't on the Go Home show on Dynamite, which is very interesting. As far as this goes, I would obviously go with Kenny Omega here to win the International Championship. However, I think it's a more intriguing story to have Takeshita win and be the guy that Kenny cannot beat. I think it puts Konosuke in an upper echelon level. It really gets him over with the crowd. To be dominant and that dominant over Kenny Omega where Kenny cannot find a way to pin him, I think could be huge. But I don't know if that's the story they want to go with. I don't know if they're behind Konosuke that way. So for the interest of that, I'm going to go with Kenny Omega here to win the International Championship. I think he wins the International Championship, and then he goes on to battle Kazuchika Okada. But they don't need to give Kenny the international title right away. They can hold off on that. So maybe a 2 out of 3 falls match or an Iron Man match, something along those lines, I think could be really huge. So I'm going to say for now, Kenny Omega, but I would not be surprised if they go with Konosuke Takeshita to win it. Just depends on what they see from him, And in the main event, Jon Moxley defends his AEW World Heavyweight Championship that we have not seen since he won against Cope. Couple of things here. You know, you can go a couple of different ways with this. You know, Moxley loses to Cope, Cage cashes in. Seems like that's a likely route there. Although, you know, Jay White heavily hinted at turning on Copeland. I like the idea of Jay White turning because I feel he's a much better heel overall. However, I don't like the idea of Cage cashing in and winning, seeing as how he basically did that to take the TNT title away from Adam Copeland. If that is the story that they're going to run with, where he once again uses a contract cash in to screw Cope, that's fine. I can understand that. But it would be a more interesting story to me is if Cope wins the AEW World Championship. Everybody expects Cage to come in and cash in. He does come in and cash in, and Copeland wins, okay? And you either by Samoa Joe or Hook fucking him over. I think that's a way better story. It's a swerve that we're not seeing coming. Copeland can continue being the AEW World Champion. It can keep John Moxley busy. He can try and get the championship back. You have Swerve Strickland as the number one contender now, so he can be involved somehow. You can still get Hangman involved. You still can maybe turn Jay. I mean, what they have right now is they have like 6 guys that are going to be swimming around, all threaded in some way in a feud with each other. Hangman Page, MJF, Jay White, Christian Cage, John Moxley, and Adam Copeland, and you can still have Ricochet, Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, Konosuke Takeshita, Kazuchika Okada. I mean, 8-9 guys all threaded together, all kind of working to stay at the top of the card. I think that's really intriguing, and if they thread them the right way, it can be awesome. And I haven't even talked about Darby Allin making his return. So that's interesting. But as far as where I feel like this match is going to lead, I'm going to go with John Moxley, okay? That being said, I feel like they're going to keep Moxley. Actually, you know what? Real time, I'm going to change that. Copeland wins. Cage tries to cash in, but he's unsuccessful. That is my pick. I was going to swerve you guys, but you know what? I'm going to stand on it because I think it's such an interesting idea, and I think it could work because everybody is going to expect Cage to come in, cash in, and win. I think if he comes in, cashes in, gets distracted by Hook or Samoa Joe, and Adam Copeland retains, I think that is a much better ending and gets more people talking. So that's what I'm going to go for. That's my prediction on that. Another prediction that I'm going to go with is that Max Caster comes out, does another open challenge, and it's Mike Bailey, Speedball Mike Bailey, making his debut in the AEW. He comes out and beats Max Caster. So I'm going with that as well. I don't know if that happens on the pre-show or if it happens on the main show. If they're smart, they'll do it on the main show. But that's what I'm going to go with. So those are my predictions, you guys. You got 10 matches. You also got the pre-show where AJ, Big Boom, and all those guys are going to be there as well. I'm not going to give my predictions for that. But yeah, the card is stellar, man. It is. AEW, they do these big pay-per-view cards, and they just got to work a little bit with threading the television show into the pay-per-views. But for this, I thought they've done a decent job. That's just me, though. I thought they've done okay. So I think this is going to be a really interesting show. They're in LA. It would be fire if Kendrick Lamar came out with Swerve. And Kendrick gets on the mic and says, "Hey, Jay. Hey, Ricochet." Ricochet. I was trying to make it sound like Drake, but hey, it would be fire, though. It would be fire. If they could get Kendrick Lamar, that would be huge of Tony Khan to be able to do that. I don't know if he could do it, but they're in LA. K-Dot showing up with Swerve. Swerve has had, like, Floyd Mayweather. He's had, who was it? Was it Rick Ross? I think he had Rick Ross. He's had a lot of guys show up, so that would not surprise me in the slightest. Even if they got like Schoolboy Q, that would still be hard. But yeah, so this Sunday, AEW Revolution. You guys let me know what you guys think in the comments. What's your predictions? What are your spoilers? You guys go ahead and let me know. Thumbs up on the way out, you guys. Keep them notifications on so you know when I'm dropping. As for now, this has been the Wrestling Old Head in the portal of pro wrestling. Stay tuned for more.